life, life started in the Bronx, New York. It was very humble beginnings. And I say this because when we got to the US, we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment and we're actually sharing. And you are just a moment, just want to go ahead and mute. Excellent. Yeah, there was a little bit of background noise. So I'll start over again. So I'm Dr. Hans Boateng. I was born and raised in Ghana, West Africa. And when my family, we immigrated to the US, it was very humble beginnings. You know, life started in Bronx, New York, very close to Fordham Avenue. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with another family. One family was in one room, you know, another family was in the other. And both of our families, we all had kids. So, you know, just sharing just one living space, right? One bathroom, one living room. And I like to say in being transparent that at that time, we were in the bottom 10% as it relates to income. The most valuable thing that I owned, which around that time I was around age 18, was a Metro card. And it's because the Metro card had money on it, right? So very, very humble beginnings. At that time, everyone around me said, Hans, if you want to be successful, if you want to be rich, go to school, get a good job, work very, very hard, and then build a house, preferably back home in Ghana. And if you do these things, you will be incredibly successful. That's what I was told. The fascinating thing was that I was looking at the lives of the individuals who were giving me this advice. And it's not that the advice was wrong, but I was looking at the lives of the individuals telling me this, and I saw that their wealth was not reflected in their own lives, right? So you're telling me just go to school, get a good job, work very, very, very hard, and then I'll be rich. And preferably, you know, buy a plot of land back home in Ghana. And if you do that, you'll be successful. And what I noticed was a ton of individuals follow this advice. They sometimes end up working 2 to 3 jobs. Money comes in, money goes out. There's no real wealth building that happens. Luckily for me, I stumbled upon this individual who later took a liking to me, became a mentor. And he told me, hey, Hans, if you want to become rich and wealthy, you have to study what the rich and wealthy do. He encouraged me to read this book. The title of the book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. The book again is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That book taught me what the rich and wealthy teach their kids about money that the poor and middle class don't. I was so inspired by that book that I went on to study over 500 books on the topic of money, wealth, investing, and read over 50,000 financial journals, articles, and blogs. Fast forward through my life, I did go to school, right? As you can see on the screen, I pursued pharmacy. So I went and got a doctor of pharmacy degree. So it's not that education is not important. It is. It's very, very important. But it's not the education which translates into wealth. It is not the high-paying job or the bigger paycheck that translates into wealth. And that's something that you will learn tonight. It is what you do with money that's ultimately going to determine whether you have more than enough to be able to build wealth or not, right? So yes, I went to pharmacy school. From there, I even pursued a path of distinction MBA program. After I graduated from the MBA program, that was when it hit me. after a few close friends were asking me very basic questions about money and investing, I went to Google and I searched investment tutor. And I was surprised to discover that there wasn't a single individual teaching and educating about the topic of money. And when I say a single person wasn't teaching and educating, I'm not trying to say other people weren't talking about the topic. But what I mean to say is there wasn't a single investment tutor that was accessible, especially to people in our community. So I just felt a calling placed on my heart that, you know what, the reason you've been studying, the reason you've been focused on this is to be able to share this information with others, right? And that's what I chose to do. I started the investing tutor, right? So I walked away from pharmacy, and essentially started from scratch, built the investing tutor, the first investment tutoring business. And since that time, I've worked with over 10,000 individuals, teaching people in our community how to invest, how to build wealth, and how to achieve financial freedom, right? So from humble beginnings, bottom 10% in Bronx, New York, making it to the top 1%. And I say it humbly. If you were to ask me, Hans, what allowed you to get to the top 1%? I'll say it's two simple things. Getting access to the right knowledge and information. And I hope you are taking notes. So getting access to the right knowledge and information was one. The second, getting around the right people. If there is anything that you want in life that you don't see reflected in your life, it's either because you don't have access to the right information or you don't have access to the right person to connect you to that thing. And it could be anything. It could be money, it could be wealth, it could be relationships, it could be a degree, it could be admission to a college, it could be a job opportunity you want. Regardless of it, there are two things. If whatever you want in your life you don't have, it's probably because you don't have the right information or knowledge or access to the right individual, okay? And it's also mindful, God works through people as well, right? So now that you have a general idea of my story, just wanted to share a few testimonials of individuals that I've had the opportunity to work with and their success. On the left-hand side, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is so that you really hone in to pay attention to what we will be discussing today. The lady on the left says, "Thank you so much. You've been a major part of my financial success. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would grow a $3,000 investment account to $75,000 in 2.5 years. I will keep singing your praises. It is so important that we have this information available to us, and I'm glad that you've taken the time to educate us all." On the right-hand side, you see a similar testimonial with their, with their funds doubling, and even more on this page. Individuals like you and I who didn't know anything about the topic of money and investing, and now here they are building passive income, building generational wealth. So now, before I kick off, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and place it in the chat as we go so that you don't forget, right? At the end of the class, I'll leave about 20 minutes to be able to answer any questions that you all have, okay? So there are two main reasons why people in our community as immigrants, minorities, right, underrepresented communities, there are two main reasons why we aren't building wealth. Now, when I share with you the reason why, I am also going to give you the solution to be able to turn that around. So the first, we don't have enough money to invest after our bills are paid. To say it another way, we spend all of our money. Okay? Now, the solution to that is this formula that I created, and I want you to write it down. It is income minus expenses equals wealth potential. So every individual, after you've acquired knowledge or a skill or a degree, okay, so when my relatives were telling me, Hans, go to school, get a job, indirectly, what they were trying to say is get the right knowledge so that you have a valuable skill. So it's not necessarily that just go to school. Someone might not go to school, but they might be an excellent comedian. They might be an excellent footballer, right? It's not necessarily go to school. It is how do you acquire a skill or knowledge so that you have something valuable that you can bring to the world and earn an income from it, okay? So having income is super important, right? So this formula is saying income minus expenses equals wealth potential. What this means is that if you take the amount of money that someone is earning, let's say every month, and you subtract how much they are spending, which is expenses, whatever is left is their wealth potential. So let's say someone is earning $5,000 of income every month, and they are spending $5,000 in expenses. 5,000 comes in, 5,000 goes out. Obviously, if you do the math, 5,000 minus 5,000, it means that that person's wealth potential is what? $0. Now, let me share with you a secret. It doesn't matter if this person was earning 100,000 a month, 1 million a month, $1 billion a month. It doesn't matter. If a person is earning 1 billion in income and they are spending $1 billion in expenses, guess what? Their wealth potential is 0. They don't have any money. And once I understood this, it completely changed my life. So the secret to having the ability to build wealth is what? You make sure that you are spending less than you earn. If you bring in 5,000, make sure that you are not spending all of that 5,000. If you bring in 1 million, make sure you are not what? Spending all of the 1 million. This sounds like very simple, basic, like knowledge and information, but things that are simple to do are also simple not to do, okay? So let's say someone is bringing in $5,000 of income and they are spending $4,000. Now, their wealth potential is what? $1,000. So the moment that an individual has wealth potential, it means they have the potential to be able to build wealth. Most people, or I shouldn't say most people, I'll say some people have wealth potential, meaning that extra money, but what do they do with it? They leave all of it in a savings account. Another mistake. If you have wealth potential, meaning that money that is left after you've paid all of your bills, and that money is just sitting in a savings account, that money doesn't have wealth potential, okay? If you want your money to have the potential to build you wealth, you have to invest it, okay? So we've gone over the formula, income minus expenses equals wealth potential, right? So obviously, there are 2 ways to increase your wealth potential. You can have more money or have a higher income, right? Earn more money. Or you can spend less, right? Reduce your expenses. You can increase your income or reduce your expenses. These are the two ways to increase your wealth potential. Earning more. How does an individual do that? You can educate yourself. And it's not only with school. Sometimes it can be a certification. Sometimes it can be perfecting a skill or a craft that you have. Okay? A side hustle or a business, right, is another way to be able to generate income as well. So I told you that there are two main reasons why people in our community are not building wealth. The first one that we just discussed is what? After all bills are paid, there is no money left to be able to invest. Now you know how to change that around so that you don't fall into the same cycle that most people end up in. Now, this is the second reason why people in our community, right, are not building wealth. We do not know how to invest. Imagine as an immigrant, you are in America, right? Your parents were born and raised, let's say in Ghana. That was my experience. How are my parents going to teach me about the financial system in America? How are they going to show me how to build wealth in America? Right? How? How would they understand the system enough to be able to share that with me? But the unfortunate thing is, if we aren't taught how to understand the system, how money works in this foreign country, then what happens? We don't build any wealth. I want to share with you some stats. If you look at consumer debt, so credit cards, personal loans, things of that nature in America, right? Look at the bottom right-hand side. It says that for Blacks, African Americans, we hold 14% of all consumer debt. 14%. Okay? Okay. Now, I'm not here to pick on debt, but I want you to focus in or hone in and pay attention to this. So when it comes to debt, credit cards, personal loans, any types of loans, we hold 14% of all consumer debt in America. What about stocks? What about retirement accounts? What about investments? Right? What about that? Well, it says that people in our community hold just 1% of the wealth building tools or the wealth building assets. So you mean to tell me that we found a way to tap into 14% of all the debt in America? But when it comes to the thing that builds us wealth, we were only able to tap into 1% of it. Let me emphasize what that means. It means that for every person in our community, we hold 14 times more debt than we do investment assets for us to build wealth. And that is, in my heart, not acceptable. We need to be able to understand and learn how to build wealth and achieve financial freedom. Look at the share of wealth, right, by race. And I'm not even meaning to make this a race thing, but it is just quite clear that there's a knowledge gap. And for many people in our community, once we finish school or we finish a certification program and we go out into the real world, we never invest in our knowledge. Some people never read any book, which isn't like a story format, right? Some people never read any book, ever. Some individuals don't attend conferences to learn. They don't get into the right, groups. It's just I go out there, I'm working, and that's it. Money comes in, it just cycles out, right? So how do we break that cycle? I'm going to share that with you today so that each and every one of you listening, right? As soon as you get to age 18, you are able to open an investment account. An investment account is called a brokerage account, okay? So how do you get started? Open a brokerage account. Now, before I dive in, I do want to say this also. If you work for a company, most companies in America will offer a retirement plan or a retirement package for employees. Make sure to take advantage of it, okay? So you want to absolutely take advantage of that because more often than not, they are going to be contributing in addition to what you are adding to your retirement portfolio at work, right? So you want to take advantage of that. But let's assume you've already done that, or maybe if someone here maybe hasn't gotten a full-time job, right? Or you're not at that stage yet to qualify for a retirement plan through an employer, okay? And even if you do, right? So whether you do or you don't, either ways, you need a brokerage account. So step one, how to get started investing, open a brokerage account. Now you can either use Robinhood, okay? So you can Google Robinhood Invest, okay, in Google, and it will take you to Robinhood to open a brokerage account. Or you can just use Cash App. Whenever I say people can invest with Cash App, they look at my face completely confused. They're like, wait. You mean I can buy stocks with Cash App? I can buy investments with Cash App? Yes, you can, right? Most people are walking around with a pot of gold right next to them and they have no clue it exists. So yes, you can invest using Cash App. So step one, open a brokerage account. You can go with Robinhood or Cash App. Either of them is fine. Step number two, fund it. Put money into the investment account that you're going to use to buy investments. Step number three, search for the company or the investment that you want to buy, okay? And step number four, you buy it. That's it. So simple. Now, I know step number three, many of you are going to be like, well, Doc, what investment do I buy? How am I going to know which investment is the best for me? First and foremost, I think it's just important to highlight that most people think that they need a lot of money to begin investing, and you do not. This on the screen is Cash App. It's the same with Robinhood. You can literally buy investments with as little as $1. Now, I'm not saying just go and invest with just $1, but that is literally the lowest amount that you can do. So if you are here and you don't have any investments, someone else who has begun the process of investing, and even if they have $1, $5, $200, $1,000, $20,000, whatever the amount is, that person has flipped from one side, which is people who trade time for money. Those people, when they don't go to work, they don't have any money coming in. So literally, it means those individuals can never stop working because they need to sell their time to earn money. And I say sell because truly that's what's happening. And I know it's going to be a shock to you, but that's the reality. And often you don't have individuals just tell you straight up the truth, right? People are selling their time for money, and that's the only way they earn. There's nothing wrong with that. The fact is everyone has to do it. But the secret is to be able to gradually transition from being a trader of time for money to becoming an investor, someone who allows their money to do the work for them, right? So everyone starts out trading time for money. selling their time for money, selling their time for an income. But you have to learn to transition over to then let the money that you earn, a portion of it, work very hard for you to bring you financial success and financial freedom. So I said step number 3 is one that people would be wondering, Doc, what company should I buy? What investment do I buy? I wish I had 3 hours to teach you how to invest, not necessarily even how to invest. I wish I had 3 hours to teach you stock analysis and investment fund analysis and all of that, but there isn't enough time to do that. But what I will say is this, I'll keep it very, very simple. Look at your life and identify the companies that you cannot live without. What companies, what products and services do they offer that you just simply could not live without? For someone, it might be Google because of Google search. For someone, it could be Netflix because they just love watching movies with a significant other, a partner, or a girlfriend, or a boyfriend, or whatever it is. For someone, it might be Disney because Disney Plus is what their kids watch, right? For me, it might be Tesla because I just love the idea of a car that can drive itself. And I think it's going to be absolutely just life-changing, right? Imagine you are at home or at work and you can let your car go and act as an Uber, and you're just sitting at home or at work and your car is making money, right? That is just a revolutionary idea that most people cannot even fathom, right? So because of that, I love Tesla as a company, right? So even though you might not know how to analyze investments yet, right? For now, begin with picking 1 or 2 companies that, I'll say 2, right? 2 companies, no more than 3, that you just cannot live without, right? So for some people, it might be Microsoft, Apple, Google. For someone else, it might be Tesla, something, right? Whatever the companies are, you decide and just start there, okay? The future of wealth is digital. Let me repeat that again. The future of wealth is digital. The number one thing that has been repeated consistently to us as, a millennial generation, as this next kind of, up and coming generation, is that the most valuable thing you can buy is land, is property, a plot of land, rental, real estate. That's the consistent thing that is constantly hammered into our heads. I am here to tell you that real estate is okay. Real estate is okay. But the truth is, real estate has made the individuals who are going to accumulate and build a significant amount of wealth. Real estate has already provided that wealth to those individuals. If you go and research, you discover that in 1940, the average price of a house in America was $2,900. In 1980, so I'm jumping about 40 years later, okay? In 1980, that house went from $2,900 to $40,000, okay? 2024, if you look at the average price of a house, it is $450,000. So the people who bought homes when they were $2,000 and $40,000 and $10,000 and $15,000, they are the beneficiaries of that asset class that created a significant amount of wealth. Meanwhile, people today are looking at the wealth that has been created for others, and they are saying, I'm going to buy real estate now because real estate is going to make me rich. No, real estate is not going to make you rich. And there's nothing wrong with buying real estate, in all honesty. It provides homes for individuals. You can rent it. You can even do Airbnb. Absolutely. I just don't want individuals to buy real estate thinking that they are going to amass some massive generational wealth. Okay? And the reason I say this is because the amount of growth that real estate has had is going to slow down moving into the future, not because real estate is bad, but just because of the law of large numbers. When something is smaller, it can grow exponentially, but when it's larger, that growth declines, right? Because $400,000, if real estate was to double from here, that would mean the average house is almost $1 million. How can the average person who is earning an income of, let's say, $50,000, how can they afford a $1 million house? They can't. So because of that, real estate is always going to be tethered to reality. Now let's flip it. What if there was a new asset class that started from zero? And now it's going through its growth and adoption, right? And people might say, okay, tell me more. A question I might ask you, if in the past, physical properties were valuable, and I know they still are, right? Land, property, all of these things. If in the past, physical property was the most valuable thing, the question is, now that we have the internet, smart devices, AI, do you think the future of wealth is going to be more physical, or do you think it's going to be more digital? And most people will say digital. So if you agree that the future of wealth is digital, let me ask you a question. Do you have any digital wealth? Do you have any digital wealth? And this is where most people say, wait, what are you talking about? Digital wealth. I'd like to introduce you to the first digital asset, Bitcoin. Bitcoin was created as the first digital property that is scarce, and individuals that own it are able to take custody of it regardless of the geographic area that they live in. So it's like owning a plot of land, but that plot of land or that real estate is digital. It can move anywhere with you. You have access to it 24/7. You can sell it whenever you want. And if you hold on to it, the more people that want to buy it in the future, the higher the price and the higher the value. That's it. That's Bitcoin. A peer-to-peer electronic cash system, but because of the scarcity associated with Bitcoin, it's made it the first digital property. If you look at the top performing investment assets in the world, okay, for the past 12 years, Bitcoin has been the #1 top performing investment asset, growing at a compounded 148% every single year for the past 12 years. Now, let me be transparent. Bitcoin is volatile. You can have sometimes significant drawdowns. Why? Because it is an asset that is not controlled by anyone. So if more people are buying Bitcoin, the price is going to shoot up exponentially. But if more people are selling Bitcoin for whatever reason, the price can draw down as well, right? So if you pay attention to the chart at the very top, you notice a pattern. And most people don't know this pattern, so I'm going to share with you. If you look at Bitcoin, you look at 2011, typically Bitcoin has this structure, and we're going to see if it's going to continue, where you're going to see three green years and then one red year, right? So 2011 green, 2012 green, 2013 green, and then 2014, there's what? The decline. Then it goes on again, 2015 green, 2016 green, 2017 green, and then 2018, there's a decline. I'm going to skip 2019 and I'm going to go to what? 2023, which was last year. 2023 green, 2024, what? Green. 2025, what are we expecting? Green, right? So 2023 green, 2024 green, 2025 green, and then potentially 2026 will be the red year. I'm not saying that it is 100% guarantee that it's going to happen, but what I can tell you is that so far in 2024, Bitcoin is up 55%. So far we are into the second green year with the expectation of another green year in 2025, right? So to wrap up in 2 minutes and then open it up for questions, I want to introduce you all to the concept of compound interest. Compound interest. Let me go to Google. So the idea of compound interest. So if you go to Google and you search compound interest calculator, and you select the very first one that says investor.gov. I want to show you this because I think it's very, very important. Okay. Before I show you, I want to also go do this. Let's go to Google again. Let's ask Google for the average US stock market return. It says the average stock market return is what? 10% per year. For nearly the last century. So for 100 years, the stock market has been growing at what? 10% per year. So let's come back to the compound interest calculator, which is a calculator that allows us to see how money grows. Let's say someone can invest $100 a month, okay? For 47 years. If this person was putting it in a savings account earning 1%, they are going to have $71,000, okay, in 47 years. If you're wondering why I'm picking 47 years, if you take age 18 to age 65, 65 is retirement age, from age 18 to 65 is 47 years, right? So $100 a month, 47 years, if the money is saved, it will be $71,000. But if this money is invested in just the stock market, so I'm not even talking about picking individual stocks, just the general stock market compounding at 10%, if we just hit calculate on the same exact amount, $100 a month, look here, the person would have $1 million. $1 million investing $100 a month. So this is where it gets fun. I'm going to change this to $500 a month. Okay, so for people who are earning more money, and let's say you don't have 47 years. Maybe you have, I don't know, 20 years or 15 years, whatever the amount of time is, right? Let's say instead of a 10% rate of return, you're able to get 22% compounded, right? So $500 a month, 20 years, compounding at 22%. Look at that, 1.4 million. 1.4 million. So I just quickly wanted to share that with you all. I'll transition right now into Q&A. And yes, I hope this was incredibly helpful for you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hans. The floor is open for anyone with questions. You can put it in the chat, or you can send your questions to me and I'll ask the question on your behalf. I think we have a question in the chat by Vanessa.
Vanessa, yes, I see it. So Vanessa's question is, do you believe that 3K to 75K in 2 years, do you think it's still achievable in 2024 in this market? So do I believe it's achievable? well, first thing is anything is possible. It's just very difficult to be able to predict the future, right? You also don't know if this person started with 3K, whether or not they were using or leveraging margin, which allows them to get even more money to invest, but it might not be their money, and they can exponentially grow a portfolio that way, right? So there's several components. So the simple answer is yes, it is potentially possible. But if an individual is starting to invest, I do not want them to be thinking about lofty goals like, how do I turn 3,000 to 75,000? No. You don't want to be thinking that way. What you want to be thinking is, how do I begin investing and give myself as much time as possible, right? You don't want to be thinking short term. You don't want to be having in your mind, I want to earn 75,000 in 2 years. What if you earn 75,000 in 2 years? Can you stop working? Does it mean that you've achieved financial freedom? No, right? So the goal is the long-term focus. You saw that example of someone investing $500 a month for 20 years, right? Compounding at 22%, and it was 1.5 million. That was a life-changing amount. Rejoice is saying, very helpful. God bless you too, Rejoice. How about many people how many people would you say are able to make returns of 22% a year? Well, Jojo, I can definitely say that people who don't know how to invest certainly cannot even dream of that, right? Because if you don't have the knowledge, it is impossible. Now, if an individual has the knowledge and they are comfortable taking risk, right? I can go to this slide so that you're able to see this slide. Give me a brief moment. Here. So you see that Bitcoin is the top performing investment at the top there at 149%, but look below it, right? You see the NASDAQ at 18% if you round the, the 70.9. So NASDAQ is growing at 18%. NASDAQ is an investment in only tech, right? So are there funds that have been growing at 20%, 25%, 22%, 23%? Absolutely. Are there investments that grow even beyond that? Tons of them. Many companies that many companies. The thing is that we just lack knowledge, right? So then it just hinders us. Look at this. Let me actually start from scratch. We go to morningstar.com, okay? Here, morningstar.com. And in here, we type Apple. Apple is a company that most people look forward to buying their phones and their AirPods and their laptops, but very few people even know that Apple is a potential investment, right? Let's go to Apple trailing returns and let's look for the past 15 years, right? For the past 15 years, what has Apple been growing at? 29%. Each year compounded for the past 15 years. 29%, right? Imagine if people were investing in Apple, not just the iPhones. So to your question, is it possible for an individual to achieve high returns? Absolutely, if they know what they are doing, educate themselves, and structure a portfolio that matches their risk tolerance. If a person wants higher returns, they have to be comfortable with higher risk as well. Investing is a long-term gain, as everyone says. My question is, for those of us who are in our late 50s and 60s, is there a chance for us to build wealth? Yes. If you acquire the right knowledge, if you begin investing ASAP, and if you invest more money. So the thing is, if an individual waits to invest, they have to invest even more money. That is the cost of having waited, right? You have to just invest a bit more money and pick really good investments that then compound over, let's say, I don't know, like a 15-year period, right? So let's say, for example, we go back here to the compound interest calculator, and I'm being mindful of time because I have to run in 8 minutes. Let's say we're looking at this compound interest calculator and someone is able to invest $1,000 a month for the next 15 years. So $1,000 a month over the next 15 years. And let's say they're able to achieve a 25% compounded return. Okay, so $1,000 a month, 15 years, 25% compounded return. They would have about $1.3 million, right? In the past, you would have said, Doc, is 25% compounded possible? But now you know it's possible, okay? Bitcoin has been compounding at 149, okay? So imagine if this person was putting $1,000 into Bitcoin for the past 12 years. Bitcoin was growing at 149. This calculator will not allow me to put 149. So I'm just going to put 99.9%, okay, for 12 years. $1,000. How much would they have? They would have 52 million. 52 million, okay? So as much as I'm, incredibly passionate about Bitcoin, I'm not here saying that a person should just focus only on Bitcoin. It's not the answer. A person should structure a portfolio that is, diverse and is able to give them some exposure to different investment opportunities. Oh my gosh, what a phenomenal topic. There's so much talk about IULs. Is it a better means to create wealth or doing stocks the right way? IULs, Index Universal Life Insurance, I've studied it for 7 years. It is one of the worst, most horrible financial instruments out there. And it's not that life insurance is a bad thing. It's just that product, the IUL, the permanent life insurance with the savings account and an investment account and tax this, tax that, it is just a way to funnel money into the hands of individuals who are selling it to unknowledgeable consumers. So if someone attempts to sell you a life insurance policy called an IUL, turn around and run. You are much better off keeping your money in a savings account. Now, I will say this. Some of the people selling the life insurance policies are just repeating what the company has told them. They don't even know what they are selling. So I'm not here to blame someone if they don't understand what they are selling, but it is a horrible financial product. Right on the screen, you see at The Investing Tutor, that is my Instagram page. Today, I posted an example of an individual who contributed $34,000 to an IUL, and they only have $1,500 available in cash today if they wanted to take money from their policy. They paid $34,000, and the only amount of money they have that they can have access to today is $1,500. Horrible. How do I invest in the whole stock market for the 10%? Is there an acronym for it? Yes, the acronym is, or I think what you mean is there a ticker symbol for it? Yes, there are multiple ticker symbols. There's IVV or VOO or SPY, okay? I've gone ahead and I've shared it in the chat. Please know it's not financial advice. I'm joining from Ghana. How do I invest here in Ghana? Just get an app called Bamboo app. Okay, Bamboo app. I have 4 more minutes. Do you recommend investing in bonds and Roth IRA? Personally, I don't invest in bonds. I just don't believe in buying something that is growing at 3 to 4%. I just don't see the need as someone who's young. Now, for someone who's older, above age 45, maybe above age 50, bonds allow you to balance your risk. So in that case, it potentially could be valuable, but not for someone who's young, in my opinion. Roth IRA is phenomenal. It's just a vehicle that allows you to build wealth tax-free, meaning that you can invest tax-free, right? In the future, you don't have to pay taxes on your gains. Since the likelihood of a bear market for Bitcoin is in 2026 is high, do you recommend that I wait and invest in Bitcoin during 2026? You can wait, but you might be paying $100,000 for Bitcoin. It might be $150,000. It might be 90,000. No one knows what the price would be, right? All I know is that the price keeps marching higher. So, I mean, if you do decide to wait, just save up a boatload of money so that, you're able to get more exposure to it. Could you give a quick breakdown of how to analyze a company or a stock? I wish I could have 2 minutes, and it takes quite a long time to do that. What are your thoughts on interest rate cuts this year by the Fed? Do you think it will happen during the fourth quarter of this year since it is an election year? Phenomenal question. I think more than likely the Fed will potentially cut at least one rate cut because it's going to be 0.25%. So it's not going to be any meaningful thing, but it will signal to the market that, hey, at least the Fed sees that inflation is trending down, and that would be, the market is going to like that versus if they don't, right? But if inflation stays sticky above 3% and the Fed doesn't believe it's coming down, we could potentially not see an interest rate reduction. Do you know of any other currencies like Bitcoin that makes a high ROI? I would like to say stick with Bitcoin. And that's not financial advice, but stick with Bitcoin. Don't play around, right? You buy the best digital asset, the number one digital asset. You don't play around with Doge, Shiba Inu, all of, XRP, Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin. The last question here, if you have money above 10,000, what is the best investment for a young person? I'll say they take that amount of money, a very small portion of it, and invest in acquiring the right knowledge. Emmanuel says, what is your risk? What is your risk management when investing? Build a portfolio that matches your risk tolerance. Investment funds are lower return, but also low volatility, okay? Stocks and crypto and digital assets are high return, but also high volatility. So pick a percentage of each that matches your risk tolerance, okay? So you all, it's been an absolute delight. I just want to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share. And I hope our paths cross in the future.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hans. Such an insightful presentation. God richly bless you.
Well, I think we've learned a lot from Dr. Hans. At this juncture, we'll go and invite the next person to give us a ton of knowledge as well. Please join me in welcoming Patty Acheampong, CEO of KPN Business Networking Gala and KPN Consulting. With over 15 years of human resource management experience, Patty excels in business transformations, strategy, growth, and team development. She has worked with clients across various sectors, including technology, financial services, and hospitality. Patty holds 2 MBAs and is pursuing a DBA in Nashville. Previously, she served as a senior HR director at Trinet's HR firm, managing high-level business development initiative. She's also a member of several professional networks. We are thrilled to have Patty with us today. Please give a warm welcome to Patty.
Thank you for that introduction. Super excited to be back in Atlanta. Really missed you guys. Thank you so much for having me today. And thank you for allowing KPN to come speak to you. Indeed, tonight is going to be a night of transformation. Dr. Hines have given us so much information, so much knowledge, and I'm literally going to tie a pretty bow on all of that with our focus on business. Today, we're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about startups. We're going to talk about small businesses. We're also going to talk about businesses that have already been established. So I want you to have an open mind. And just like they said, please put your questions in the chat because I'm going to give you specific step-by-step actions. So if you have a notebook, you definitely want to be taking notes. I'll put some information in the chat as well when we get to the very end, because there's some resources that I'm going to give you specific to Atlanta. I know the icebreaker, which was phenomenal. I'm totally stealing that idea. But the icebreaker talked about in how to get funding for my business, right? And how to get investors to invest in my business. So I'm going to give you a lot of insight into that. And then we're going to talk about the most important piece of it all, which is our growth strategy, how to grow, whether it's a startup, whether you're just starting the business, or whether you've been in business for a long time. We're going to talk about all of it. So thank you guys so much for having me. I'm going to jump right in because I'm looking at the time and I want to make sure that we leave some time at the end for Q&A. And also I'm going to give you a quick demo as well when it comes to contracts, government contracts, and state contracts. So right away, I want us to talk about our business that we have in hand, right? So either you have already started a business or you're looking to start a business, so you're or you're interested and not really sure which way to go. Whatever category you're in, I want you to understand my goal here as a consultant is to let you understand the fundamental groundwork that you cannot miss. Some of us already have a business started. Maybe we hit these points. That's phenomenal if we did. If you didn't, you have to take a step back and really make sure that you put these little breadcrumbs that I'm going to give you in place, because this is what's going to establish your business up for long-term success. We're talking generational wealth tonight, a business that can be passed down from family to family, a business that can be purchased or sold as well. Okay, so just to jump right in here and tell you just one more thing before we get started. So KPN Consulting is a business development firm. My husband and I have been running for well over 7+ years or so. We do business acquisitions. So I have some clients actually in Atlanta where we help small businesses or even individuals who are interested purchase businesses. So I'm going to talk about how you can do that, whether you have the financial means or don't. There is a secret formula and you're looking at it right now. I'm going to explain it. We also do business registration. We do website development. So we're truly the one-stop shop for all business needs. And our goal is to equip you with the knowledge and tools needed to succeed and to build strong, long-term businesses. Okay. So right now, as you're looking at this PowerPoint, I'm going to give you very simple steps when we talk about business credit and what business credit can do. So the first and foremost is if you don't have business credit established, it's going to make your business very slow when it comes to growth, because business credit is another avenue that you can use to grow your business. It's another avenue you can use in terms of gaining investors to invest in your business, gaining investors to purchase your business if that's the route you want to go. But what it does is it creates options for you. Okay. So how do you establish business credit? So if you don't have a business yet and you're interested in starting a business, the first thing you want to do is form that business. You're going to determine a structure. Either it's going to be LLC, it's going to be an S Corp, it's going to be incorporated, it's going to be a partnership. There's so many different structures, and that's a whole lesson in itself. So if you have questions about business structure, let me know during Q&A. I can break it down a little bit more, but the most common one is LLC. For an example, Google is an LLC, right? But a lot of us don't know that because they don't say Google LLC. So that's going to be my first lesson here is let us not put our business structure at the end of our business name. Let's allow our business entity to stand on its own, because again, we're thinking long-term growth, okay? So once you have your business structured, you have that LLC in hand, you have that S Corp in hand, whatever the business structure you determine based on the taxations, based on the model of how it operates when it comes to the IRS, when it comes to doing business. Once you have that in place, the next thing that I need you to do is to get an EIN number. If you don't have one already, the EIN number is your employer identification number that's issued by the IRS. Most of us, if you already have a business, you should have an EIN number. If you don't, we have missed the second step already. So we want to make sure we get that. Once I have my business established and I have that EIN number in hand, I need to register and create a profile for my business on 411. Okay, so you want to put your business on 411, and this listing is crucial to establishing business credit. Okay, so once we've done those first two things in step one, the next step you have to do is create a DUNS profile, right? And we've heard people say DUNS number, what is that, right? This is exactly what it is. That DUNS profile on Dun and Bradstreet allows you to establish your business credit. Is the baby step, is the foundational ground. And what that does is it's a public database, and it allows you to go in yourself as the owner, whether you have a financial person doing it or whether you're a startup, whatever category you fall in. You will go on Duns and Bradstreet, create your profile for your business specifically. It would then issue you a DUNS number, okay? Now, this will allow you to report your earnings, to report your revenue, to report your expenses directly into this database, okay? So once you do that, your business now has its own identity through the DUNS number. And on that database platform, what this does is they start pulling information on your business. So do you have any liens, any legal issues, any debt outstanding? They do that check and that analysis. You don't have it, it boosts your business credit up. Okay, it's gonna boost that score up because that scan is showing that you don't have it. We can't hide our businesses, right? Because a lot of us create businesses, a lot of us have catering businesses, financial services, different consulting firms, but we hide and we kind of keep it to the community. So this is a way when you're establishing your business, you're not establishing it for the Ghanaian or the African community. You're establishing your business for generational wealth, long-term for the world. So because of that, we have to put ourselves out there. This is one avenue to put you out there. So once you have this profile created, the next thing that is going to do for you is going to create funding opportunities. So the DUNS number and that platform is going to give you options based on the stage of your business to give you direction as far as what you can do, where you can go, and how you can get access to these funding. The biggest thing it's going to do for you is it's also going to give you visibility to investors. So whenever somebody, the other side of my business is helping businesses build business plans to sell to investors, right? So whenever an investor is looking to purchase a business, like we do sometimes with acquisitions and mergers, they go to Dun and Bradstreet, right? They go there and they look at businesses, because what are you doing? By reporting your revenue year over year, you are building your business up. You're building that business portfolio, right? And it's showing them how profitable your business is. It's a direct access. Nobody has to fight and go pitch for, Shark Tank and all those things. This is a baby access that allows you through the door. So these investors are constantly on there looking for businesses. So they come across your business and they see that you have a profile. They see your revenue. They see all that public data that you put there, and it allows them to reach out to you to invest, or even to reach out to you to see if you're interested in selling your business. Another avenue for business is a lot of us are serial entrepreneurs, right? We start, we build it, and then we sell. So these are different avenues that if you establish just this one DUNS number, it's going to help create and widen your window as a startup, as a small business, as a business that's been established for 5 years or more. So this step is extremely crucial. This is step 2. Everything that I just gave you is in step 2. And I do see some questions coming in the chat. I'll get to it. We'll make time at the very end to be able to answer some of those questions. So now that I have my business in hand, I've registered for the EIN, I have my DUNS number in hand, and my profile is set. I'm reporting into my profile. One thing I want you to be cautious of is this is a public database. So as you're reporting, please make sure that when you file your taxes at the end of the year, that data correlates, okay? Because a lot of times we'll put something else on our taxes and then we'll put something else on our profile. You got to make sure that information correlates so that you don't run into any issues, okay? So once you have this established, it's going to slowly start building your business credit. Okay, and I'm going to go into what that means. So once you're starting to build your business credit and your business credit gets to about an 80 in score, just like me, the person, I have a credit, and depending on what my credit is, it opens up certain avenues for me. As a business is the same way. We have to separate ourselves from our business, okay? So once my business credit gets up to about an 80, I can apply for what we call the starter vendors account, okay? This is a quick approval account, just like your own personal credit. We are very afraid of when we say credit or credit cards. That's because of how we use it. We oftentimes misuse it, but it's a crucial step needed to build anything. And I'm going to show you other avenues that you can use as well. But this starter vendor account is issued to you quickly as a small business. You got your score to an 80 as a small startup, and you can use this vendor account to start helping you with your operational needs. Small step by step, right? Small things that you need to purchase, anything that you need to do for the business, you're building it up through this vendor account, okay? So once you get this vendor account built up, it also opens up the airway for business travel. You're able to actually get travel reward points through this vendor account, and that travel reward points can be used to travel for wherever you're going. Whether it's a personal travel, whether it's a business travel, you have those points accessible to you. So again, another important crucial thing to be able to build up my business credit, to establish my business to be strong and to stand on its own. And another secret here that I want to talk about that we don't oftentimes see whenever we're starting businesses or starting startups is our social security number. A lot of us probably by the raise of hand, if you're doing anything with your business, you probably give them your personal social security number. But you have to remember your social security number is a 9-digit number, just like what? Your EIN number. Because if you think about it, I have this EIN. Why do I need this EIN that's from the federal government? Just like my social security number is from the federal government, because you just created an entity. Right? You just establish a whole entity of its own. So whenever you're applying for this starter vendor account, anything that you are doing in the name of your business, do not use your social security number. Use your EIN number. By using your EIN number, you are what? Building wealth for your business. Every transaction is going into the name of your business, okay? Now, I think one of the questions that I saw popped in the chat is, what is different from, the business structures, LLC and so forth? We'll talk about that a little bit later during Q&A. But one of the biggest things is the separation from self, me, Patty, the owner of KPN, to KPN as its own entity. KPN will have its own identity with its own EIN number, and everything it does is to build up the business by itself. So I'm going to move on to the next slide, because again, there's so much to go over, not enough time. So I want to make sure I give you as much information as possible. So if you are running your business from home, which a lot of us are in this day and age, right? A lot of our businesses do not have an office yet, unless maybe you are in the professional service sector, like maybe you are registered nurse, maybe you have, a business that requires a physical location, right? Like the home care agencies. But even if you have a home care agency, or whether or not you're in consulting or you're in finance and your business is operating from your home, one important thing you have to remember, again, we're not using our social security number anymore on all things business. We are using our business EIN number. That's our employer identification number. So I want you to switch your light bill, your water bill, your gas. All of that needs to be in the name of your business, okay? It needs to be an EIN number that you're giving to those companies. It is so important, because as you're paying those bills, it's building your business credit. You're building that wealth under your business. And then the biggest advantage is you're able to write all that off for taxes as well, because it was a business expense. It's something that you paid in the name of your business. So keep that piece in mind. If you don't remember anything, I just want you to remember, do not use your social security number for a lot of these things. You need to build your business credit to stand firm and to stand on its own. And I'm going to talk a little bit high level about what I do with it. What do I do? What's the point, Patty, of building my business credit? Besides getting investors, besides positioning my business to be able to sell and succeed and thrive, because now I have so many lending options. One of the biggest things is SBA, okay? As a business owner, you're going to get to a growth point where you're going to need support from the Small Business Administration Office, SBA loans, okay? I'm going to talk loans and I'm going to talk grants on the next slide. So as we are helping businesses purchase other businesses, let's say you come to me and you have built your business up with the business credit, that the business credit is so strong right now, right? You've gotten into a very strong point, and now you wanna be able to sell your business to even do something bigger, okay? What happens is when you bring in a consultant like myself or any broker or anyone to help you sell, SBA can qualify your SBA loan just from the business alone. So they'll look at the business financials, they'll look at the business credit, and they will qualify it as its own entity just from the business alone. This is how we're able to purchase businesses for $1.1 million, $2 million, $3 million, right? I have a purchase we're working on right now. The client is looking about $2 million to purchase a business. And the qualification for that is standing on the business alone. They have qualified that business based on that. So again, we're thinking long-term. We are no longer focused on just tomorrow, just yesterday. We're thinking what we're going to do long-term. So I want you to remember these nuggets as you are establishing, and some of these points that you see in front of you are businesses that are financial services that focus on the business credit to be able to help you. You can do a merchant cash advance. You can do a line of credit. You can use that for real estate purchases, right? If you want to, or you can use that to acquire more businesses, okay? So keep in mind as we're building wealth, how to strategically build our business up, build that credit to be able to do all these things. Now, I know most people on this call is in Georgia. Normally, I focus a little bit on the grant space bigger, but I'm going to focus in Atlanta, Georgia for today due to the purpose of this audience. But what we're going to talk about first is connecting with the city we live in. Again, this business we're doing is not for ourselves, is not for our community, it's for the world. You live in Atlanta, the city of Atlanta or the state of Georgia should know your business. And what do I mean by that? We have to connect with our city leaders. Your city leaders, from your council women, your councilmen, from your mayor, all those individuals are put in place for you. They want you to be able to grow your business because it grows the bottom line, the city, okay? Each city, and I work very closely with the city offices here in Charlotte as well as nearby cities as well. For Atlanta specifically, for you guys, you have to remember your procurement office is allotted a budget to support small businesses and startups. If you don't go ask for that money, listen, they send that money back. And the more money that goes back reduces that budget year over year. Now, you can build a very strong proposal and go to the city and go to their financial feasible meeting, which is normally, if it's yours, will be starting again January. You want to pitch why they should fund your business. Pitch those ideas to them. Go to the city functions, connect with the city leaders, okay? If you see me looking to the side, I'm keeping my eye on the time because I want to make sure I leave some time to answer your questions. But here is some resources, and I'm gonna pull up a quick demo here as we're gonna transition into another space that I want to share with you. But here are your specific resources. The Procurement Office of Atlanta, they award grants and contracts at no less than a minimum of 100,000, okay? 100,000 is somebody's whole salary. So you tell me, as a business owner, if I get one contract for $80,000, for $100,000, that pays me for the whole entire year. If I get multiple contracts, multiple grants, my business is set for multiple years. This is how you're able to take your business from baby steps to giant leaps. And this is how businesses, you see it, your next door neighbors are doing it. You're like, how did she just open this business and already she's working? Think about it as, how do I get work? Through the demo that I'm about to show you in 2 seconds is how you get work. as a business owner, you should be on that website that I have there, www.atlantag.gov. That's going to take you guys to your procurement office, okay? Your procurement office email is also on here, atlsupplier.com. I even put your chief procurement officers, the 2 individuals that run that office, that's their information. If you need more information, reach out to me, because I'm a big advocate of connecting with our city leaders. And the reason why this is so important, I'm going to switch this screen over here, over my PowerPoint, and I'm going to share with you real quick why it's so important. And give me a quick thumbs up if you guys can see the new picture that I'm showing, just so that I know I got you. But basically why this is so important, let me go back to gallery so I can make sure you guys can see me. If you can't, please come off me and let me know. But why this is so important is this office gives annual grants. The grant cycle runs per budget year, okay? So they're giving grants anywhere from $10,000 and more to local Black-owned businesses. If you don't ask, they won't give. They also have several contracts. So the page I'm showing you now is the exact same replica for your page, but I have access to Charlotte. So that's why it says Charlotte at the top, just ignore that part. I gave you the website for your page. So this, what you're looking at is city contracts, okay? So this city contracts is work, how I work as a small business, continue cash flow coming in, okay? So what you do is you create your vendor account with your city. You have to be a vendor so you can get a commodity code. And that commodity code is what you're going to use to apply and to bid on some of these contracts. If you look at these contracts, they're very simple. What you do is once you get that vendor account set up, you come in here, they send out emails and say, hey, we're looking for a business to hire for consulting and engineering services, right? And then you'll say, oh, I do consulting and or even here, professional consulting services. That's me. I'm going to go to this opportunity. Okay. So when I click here, and make sure my page didn't go to sleep on me, it's going to take me into the opportunity. This is my contract bidding page. And this page is going to tell you everything you need to know about what the procurement office is doing for the city, for Atlanta specifically. It's going to tell you when this was open. It's going to tell you when you need to tell them that you're interested in the job, when you need to bid. Okay, I'm interested in this job. I need to let them know by July 8th. Okay, this is so important. Don't play with these dates, guys. Questions about this particular contract, you need to ask your questions by June 18th. This is why you have to pay attention to this, because if you have a question and you submit it after June 18th, the procurement office is not going to respond. They are that on it. They're not going to respond to you. So you have to come in here, and then you also even get to see who posted it, who posted this job that I can reach out to. They provide their email, they provide all of that. So if you have questions, send it to them. You come down here and you say, what is this project about? It's going to tell you they're seeking a professional person to help with strategic planning, research analysis, development, and then you'll tell yourself, I do all of this. Why am I not applying for this? Why are you not applying for it? That's the question. We got to get out there. We're not just waiting for people to come and patronize our business. Take your business services to the world, to your city. Start with your city, grow to the government, and then we grow to the world. This format you're looking at is going to be the same contractual format on the state level and on the government level, okay? So then you come down here and it's going to tell you important events, okay? It's going to tell you things that are upcoming that you don't want to miss, okay? So it's going to tell you right here, they're going to close the bidding date, meaning when I need to tell them I'm interested. It's going to tell me what the deadline is. And then you see when I talked about commodity codes is how they find you. And you're only going to get a commodity code after you register as a city vendor. Okay, so they send this to all the people that fall into this space. Here's the meat and potatoes, guys, down here. Supporting documents for my contract. It tells you everything you need to submit. If you go further down here in the requested information section, it's going to tell you everything that is required. Okay. If you need support, we offer support as well in terms of helping you with contracts. Propose solutions. How are you gonna do this job? Even if this is your first contract, Don't be afraid to take a leap of faith. Okay, we have God on our side. This is already ours for the claiming. We just need to walk into our destiny. Okay, so understand that if you've never applied for a contract before, they are going to ask you for references. References does not always mean that I have to give them the last job I did. You can give them people that know you really well. We just need people that are going to validate that your business is legit. Guess what other reference you can include on here? Your DUNS account, right? They can go check your profile and check how serious you are as a business person. So now we're going to go down here. And again, it's telling me everything that I must have. And when you click on these, right, they're going to have the documents for you to download. Okay, right here, you'll click next and you'll download all the documents that you need to apply for this. It's so simple. It's so easy. I'm simplifying it here for you because of the sake of time. But down here at the very bottom of your page, once you're done, and because I'm not logged in, you don't see it, but there's going to be a button down here that says submit my application. You're going to hit it, and then you're going to submit everything that you did. And this right here is how you get work, is how you get access to funding. Okay, now when I'm talking about funding here, I'm not talking about money that you have to pay back. This is legit employment for your business. So how do you get your business exposed? Okay, through connecting with your city. Please, let's go to our city events. Let's network. All these events, most of the time, are free. Do not sit in our home. Do not sit in your house. Get out there, network with these people, meet them, give them your business card. And when you do that, you're creating more opportunity for your business. I'm gonna make sure I leave time to answer some questions because I know probably there's a lot of questions on that, but I want to jump right into the last section of my presentation, which is strategy. Okay, this is so important when it comes to business strategy. One of the biggest things why we avoid strategy, honestly, is because we leaders, we just do not want the hard work behind crafting a good business strategy. But you have to if you need to be able to scale your business. Because do you know what your business strategy is? Your business strategy tells the story of what you do and how you do it. So if I ask you, what do you do and how do you do it? If you don't have a strategy, how do you know what story you're telling? How do you know if you're on the right page? How do you know if you're on track or off track, right? The strategy is what guards us. Again, we're talking generational wealth. We're not building a business for today. We're building a business for decades, okay? So we have to take time and really put in the work. And I'm going to give you specific tools. I'm going to tell you how you can develop your business strategy. But the first thing I want to tell you, it's not a business strategy, is when we focus on rival competition. So Abena next door is a caterer, and then Ajoa too is a caterer. And Abena and Ajoa are so focused on who's getting the most bookings, who's getting the most catering, and they're just at rivalry. It gets us nowhere, right? Because I'm worried about her, she's worried about me, but that is not how you grow as a business. It's not rival competition that grows your business. It's a unique competitive edge. It's rather focusing on Abena sells awache. How can I sell my awache differently? Be aware of your competition, but don't be so focused on your competition that it detracts you from success. So be aware. Walgreens and CVS are right across from each other. Walgreens is not worried about CVS. They know they're there. They know their strategy, but they've created a unique approach that allows each of them to get their own clientele and excel. So let's take rival competition out of our mind and move away from that. And now that we've gotten that out of our head, I want us to focus on what we call the balance strategy. It's called the Balance Scorecard Framework, BSC. Now, the Balance Scorecard Framework is the most effective way, guaranteed, to be able to grow and scale your business. We go into businesses all the time and help them develop ways to grow and scale. One of the biggest things that I always say is a vision without a strategy remains an illusion. If I want to get to Walmart and I don't get in my car and put my foot to the pedal, I'm not going to get to Walmart. But to be able to get in my car, that's step one. to put my foot to the pedal, that's step 2. So I've created a strategic plan to get me to my destination. So we have to remember everything we do needs to have a blueprint. And I'm going to make it very simple here. This is a 5-hand strategy. If you can't remember anything, you can count to 5, right? So the thumb is going to be the core baseline foundation of your business. If you lose a thumb, you can still move your hands. It's going to be very difficult for all of our medical professionals on the line, right? So your thumb holds your mission, your vision, your values, right? Why am I doing this? Where am I going, right? My vision is where I'm going, right? But how am I going to get there? My strategy tells me how I'm going to get to my vision and my mission. Your value proposition allows you to understand who are you selling to and why are you selling. A lot of us miss price and cost, right, together. So the price is what? The output. The cost is the input. Think about it that way. How much did it cost me to actually make this bag? And then how am I going to price it to my consumer? We got to be able to make back the cost of the product when we price it to our consumer. That's why the thumb is so important. So I can't go over all 6, but just remember your thumb. The second piece is the strategic themes, your priorities as a business. What am I focused on? Why am I focused on it? Where am I going? So your strategy, your business strategic themes, okay, should be 1 to 3 areas that you want to focus on, okay? 1 to 3 areas that you want to focus on in the next 1 to 3 years. I didn't say 5. 1 to 3 is the perfect allotment of time. It should be always 1 to 3, 1 to 3 as you progress through your career, okay? So through 1 to 3 areas where I want to focus. I'm going to break this down for you a little bit more, okay? But just understand that's what my strategic themes are, my priorities for my business. What are the 1 to 3 areas that I want to focus on over the next 1 to 3 years? And then I'm going to move all the way down to my strategic objectives. What I'm walking you through here is specific steps to build a business strategy to grow your business. Even if you are starting it, have started, or are in the midst of it, you want to come down to the basics. The objectives are the goal here. What are you going to craft? Okay, 2 to 5 objectives that will help you advance each theme. So each one of the themes that we talked about has to have objectives that support me to get me to meet these goals that I'm focusing on. And then my strategic measure, right? How am I measuring myself? Am I taking a look back? Last month, the selling that we did last quarter, am I checking my progress? Am I crossing my numbers? Most of us don't. So we're just walking blind, and we see that we're not seeing cash flow. Cash flow is the money coming into my business after all my expenses are paid. Overhead, everything is finished. This money is sitting down, have absolutely nothing to do but grow me wealth, generational wealth, okay? So I have to measure how successful my plan is. And then strategic initiatives, I always break it down very simple. As a small business, there's one thing I want you to remember, TEMP, okay? That is called limited resources, TEMP, okay? We don't have time, we don't have energy, we don't have money, and we don't have enough people to help us. Every small business startup works off limited resources. Your limited resources is your time, your energy, your money, and your people. How are you spending that? How are you strategically putting projects in place to make sure you're getting the most of each? You might be spending too much time. You might be spending too much money. Again, we have to have a balance in our temp resources to be able to advance our business. I'm going to break it down for you even more. Everything we talked about here, you're looking at it live color, and I'm going to give you a physical example. We talked about the theme being the bigger umbrella. The objectives are within the theme to push it up. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because to have a strategy that grows my business long term, I need to build a strong house. Without building a strong house, my business will not go anywhere. You can't live in a house without a roof. You can't live in a house without pillars and foundation. It's going to crumble, right? So look at the house that I have right now in front of you. This house covers every sector of your business: finance, customers, internal process, and learning and growth. Okay, all my organizational capacities, everything I do with my business. The foundation we talked about. I have my mission, I know what I'm doing, I have my value proposition in place, but the core is my themes. You see how the themes are your strategic pillars, and each strategic pillar is supported by 5 objectives to push you to reaching your goal, which is your theme, and then pushing your vision forward. So this orange box you see here, I'm going to just switch so I can point at it for you to see, is a live example of something we did for a company who was focused on growing their brand awareness. So if you look at it, these were their themes. They wanted to increase social media usage. They wanted to invest in brand awareness, and they wanted to assess the community brand awareness. Do people know me in my community? So what we did was we put down what objectives to help them reach each of those themes. So one of the things I'm going to do is jump to the bottom here just so I can leave time for questions. So right here is my objective is I need to grow my business in my community. Well, the first thing I want you to do is, that's your theme, all right, but I need you to now build a team to develop a plan to be able to assess your brand awareness within the next 50-mile radius. Do a survey. I'm going to do a survey. I'm going to survey the local businesses close to me within 50-mile radius to see if they know about me. Do they know about my business? Okay, so this is the framework that you can use to grow your business to a whole new scale. I'm gonna pause because I know I have a lot of questions in the chat, and I'm gonna switch over to the chat. Thank you guys so much. So much more information to go to, but not enough time. But I want to make sure that we get to all your questions here that you have. So I am going to pause for a second and go through this piece here. And I think the last thing I'm going to do before I move to Q&A, because after Q&A, we're going to wrap up because it's almost 10 o'clock, is, as I mentioned before, one of the biggest things that we do is try to create a platform for businesses to exceed. So our business hosts an annual business networking gala where we bring local businesses, entrepreneurs, industry leaders, global leaders, city leaders. We bring them all to one room for you for the purposes of networking. The field is not even and is not leveled. So we do the hard work of bringing these people together so that you can connect to the right resources for funding, for growth, okay? So this year's gala is happening December 7th. Please follow us on IG so you can get more information about it as we progress, because I would love to see some of you there. I would love to see you take your businesses from baby steps to giant leaps. So more information, hit me up if you have questions about it. I'm gonna stop sharing real quick so we can move into Q&A. Thank you. And I'm not sure
updates right now. His camera is looking at his ceiling fan.
I'm not sure where the questions started. Let me see if I can try to catch some of them. But for our moderator, if you see the questions where it started, please let me know. And then I want to make sure I'm looking at the right section here. Let me go down.
I don't know.
All right.
If you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat.
Okay, I think I see the first one. It keeps moving me down. Give me 1 second. What are the differences between the business structure? Yes. So the biggest difference between the business structures, honestly, is how it's split in case something was to happen to the owner, the business owner, and the biggest piece is taxation. So an LLC allows you to be a separate entity from your business. This is exactly what it says, is limited liability. Okay, so from a taxation standpoint, I'm only taxed once. I'm taxed according to the business. Some of the business structures like partnerships and so forth, you are double taxed. So when you're looking at business structure, which is a whole lesson in itself, so we don't have a lot of time for it, but remember that the specific piece is on the taxation, how you're going to be taxed by the federal government. And also in the case the business needs to be dissolved if someone is deceased, how the business funds and how the business's self-equity is allocated and how it's handled. So that's one of the biggest pieces between the different business structures that we talked about. And then, do you recommend having an accountant firm to keep track of your business expenses for taxation purposes? Yes, if you can, that's great. But as a small business owner or as a startup, when you're starting, it's very difficult. So the easy thing you can do is always, if you can afford a firm to track it for you, you can track it through QuickBooks. It's the easiest thing. You can even do QuickBooks Starter, where it's a simple Excel sheet. You create a tab for expenses, revenue, every single thing that is expense, meaning all the costs it takes for you to run your business, your cell phone costs, your gas mileage, your car. You want to list it all down to help you track it. And at the end of the year, you can put formulas in there and it'll calculate it for you. But if you can, you must have an accountant, because again, we're looking at generational wealth. We want a clean slate, because one of the things that I didn't talk about, which is our business account, right? If you want a grant, even not loan, grants, they're going to look at your business account statements. So we want to be very careful in how we're utilizing our business card and how we're paying ourselves through our businesses as well. And then another big secret piece is, if you can and you have a business, try to also set up a nonprofit in conjunction with your business, okay? Because the nonprofit also opens up avenue for more funding. And what you can do with the nonprofit is, as a business owner, you can pay yourself a salary with the nonprofit, okay? And that salary, or even a donation, and that money can be used towards your for-profit to help advance and push it forward. If you want more detail and breakdown, please let me know. To apply for the EIN, is it free? Yes, the EIN is free. IRS.gov. Yes, you just go on there, you'll put in your business information, same information you use on your state website when you registered the business, and it will produce an EIN number for you. You do not pay when you go there. So that's, I saw that. Will you pay? It's completely free. And the DUNS number, the DUNS account, the basic account is completely free. If you wanted to do magical things for you, like produce reports, track your spending, and check, you know, things like that, give you alerts, you can pay a small fee to upgrade your account, but the foundational account is also free. I was told to get a business debit and use it for a while to build my business credit. What are your thoughts on it? Yes. So you can do two things. You can do a business debit, secure debit card, put your own money on it, put it in the business name and the EIN of the business, not your social security number, and use that to build it. You can also go to Lowe's, Home Improvement, or any home store that's close to you and get a card there too. The secret is, when you use that card, you want to pay it off. We're building credit. It's not a spending spree, right? So you want to strategically use it, less than 3%, pay it off, use it and pay it off, and you will see the growth happen magically over time. And as a small business owner, you can use that baseline cash to help you with some of your basic operational needs as well. Okay, so you can definitely do that. Put it in the name of your business. Use your EIN number, not your social security number. Can Uber limo tax drivers qualify for business credit, or the business they work for will disqualify them? No. So if you are an Uber limo or taxi driver, you if you're working under a bigger entity that you don't have that ownership, you can create a sub entity under that. Okay, so just remember, what I always say is, keep your day job, and that day job you use to fund your business. It will get to a point where your business will grow and it will demand to be full-time. And once it demands to be full-time, you can let go of your day job. One of the guys that's going to be speaking at the gala this year did exactly that. He was in financial services for decades, and he used that money to build the 704 shop here in Charlotte, which is a multi-million-dollar company now. So yes, you can still do that. You can still qualify for a DUNS number, but you do have to create an EIN that you own. So if you don't own the Uber EIN, create a sub-entity that is yours and that you own to be able to do that. Where can we find some of these events for Atlanta? The website that I showed you earlier, let me go back. So if you go to your city site right here, right, www.atlantag.gov, follow them also on IG. You can find all the events there. They have a lot of events that they post on the Eventbrite. But even if you register as a vendor through the procurement office specifically, you will get access to those events. Sitting home on a Saturday night, go to an event. I'm telling you, it will change the life of your business. What strategies do you find most effective in driving dynamic business growth? Honestly, the strategy that we talked through, the 5-hand strategy, is what I find most effective. And the reason why is because of exactly what it does. It allows you to stay focused. Everybody's trying to reach that vision, and that vision is where you're trying to take your business. Once your business vision is accomplished, you've arrived. But to get it there is the hard work. Look at this house. This is not a small house. There's a lot of components that you have to do, but these objectives push you to achieve your goals. And by achieving your goals, you're able to drive to your vision. So it's very important for you to do this. And I know a lot of us are parents, we don't have time. Another strategy I'm going to talk about is the 10th piece that I told you, your time. Allocate time for your business. If you're not spending at least an hour focusing on your business each week, you're doing yourself a disservice. We are tired of working for people. We need to own our own dynasties and pass it down to our kids. So during the week, another strategy you can do is allocate a certain amount of time to work on your business strategy, to plan your next project, but you should constantly have a program or something that you are planning for and doing for your business to help it grow. So that's another piece that you can do to help your business grow, is to give it attention. Just like with a child, when you spend time with a child and you give the child the nurture it needs, it will grow. So the same thing you have to do with your business. And then I don't know if I missed some questions because it keeps bouncing back on up, but I'm gonna wrap up with these last few questions. If you need anything else, I'm gonna put my information in the chat, just so that we can close on time. But what strategies? Okay, I already read that one. You talked about going to the government after going to the city to grow. Could you describe that a little bit more? Yes. So when you connect with the city, through the vendor establishment. So you establish your profile with the city as an official vendor of the city of Atlanta. So what that means is when the city of Atlanta is doing events, you are a vendor and you can bid on those contracts. These contracts are not even just for work. You can sometimes bid on property, right? You want to open a restaurant, you want to open a manufacturing center, you can bid on those. So once you do that, you can also register the next level up, which is the state vendor. From the state vendor, you will go to, and I thought I had it on here, but I must have taken it off, is grant.gov. And I'll put it in the chat real quick. So grant.gov. Okay, this is the government level. I think it came through. This is the government level, yes. This is the government level where you will, again, create a profile, become a vendor, and get access to contractual funding. Contracts is what everybody uses for growth. Even the government works off contract. Is work, is purchasing work, bidding on work. And if you can secure enough contracts, again, procurement office only do a minimum of 100,000. So if I get one contract with them, I'm set for the year, but we want multiple contracts. This is how you gain that independence, that wealth to be able to operate your business and on its own, get the funds needed to what our brother just talked us through, Dr. Hines, to invest, right? Invest in the name of the business, invest in your personal aspect as well. So that grant.gov is how you can get access to the government side. Does my personal credit score affect my business funding option? Again, it only affects your business funding options in the early stages when you have not established your business credit, because they're going to lean on your personal credit. So if you go get a bank loan and you say, I need a loan for my business, they're going to pull up your personal credit. They're going to pull up your financial statements. They're going to always add your business and personal together, but we're trying to break it apart And what you want to do is to be able to break it apart and build your business credit so your business can qualify on its own. But in the beginning, if you don't have business credit, by setting up the DUNS number alone, you're working to establish it. And that's why I referenced the vendor starter account. I'll go back to it. The vendor starter account, and that vendor starter account down here is what you can use to start helping you with funding and getting the funds needed and getting the grants needed to be able to build that business credit. Okay. And so that you can separate from the personal credit. How can one contact you? So I'll go ahead and put my contact information in the chat. Again, you can follow us on IG. I'm going to put the IG information so that you can keep up with all the events happening this year. We have our keynote speaker this year, who's Lady Denta. She's bringing a lot of connections, a lot of wealth to the table. And these are people we're putting in the room for you to connect with, for you to build your growth, for you to build your wealth. So I'll put all my information in the chat as we pause for a second here. And thank you so much for having me. If you have any more questions for me, I'm going to hang around a bit and I'm going to pass it back to our MC. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty. I think we've learned so much from you and Dr. Hans. There's so much that y'all talked about that we don't even know that it exists. Me sitting here, I don't even know that I can just go to the Atlanta office and try to even bid on a contract. So thanks for sharing that knowledge with me, your wisdom, your dedication to helping entrepreneurs to build strong and successful business. Your contributions have made this conference a memorable and impactful event. I think at this point, I'll call on Isabel to give us any announcements that we may have. Isabel?
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, and good evening, everybody. I hope I have learned something. I hope you have learned something that you add to your life. And if you are a business owner thinking about a business, it's definitely something to sleep on it and think about. I have a couple of announcements. Tomorrow night, we'll be meeting at the PIWC auditorium at 7 p.m. for our worship night. Amen. We will be having our very own district pastor, Pastor W. preaching, and we'll have a guest artist, Pastor Denzel Prempeh, leading us through worship. So it's a night you don't want to miss out. Please, please pull up and invite your friends as well. Amen. And on Saturday, which is the one I'm very excited for, we'll be having our dinner at PIWC Atlanta again. It starts at 6 p.m. in the evening, and the dress code is black and white. So that dress you've been keeping since last summer, bring it out, come dressed, and who knows, you might win best dressed. So yeah, I want to see every one of you on this line, if possible, on Saturday and on Friday as well. And also, we will be giving out awards for people that have been very involved in the youth in the past year, and also giving awards to the class of 2024. So it's your time to shine again. And lastly, on Sunday, we will be climaxing our Transformers Conference. Amen.
Amen.
We have our very own national youth leader, Pastor Sampana, coming to preach. And we also have Minister Ryan Ofei, who is someone that I'm really looking forward to meet. So if it's something you're expectant for, please show up on Sunday. Service starts at 10 a.m. And also on Sunday, do not forget, we'll be wearing our t-shirts. The t-shirts are on sale for $20. And so if you have not yet got yours, please make sure to get yours. We'll be having sales on Friday at church. So if you don't have your t-shirt, you have to be at church on Friday. Amen.
Amen.
And also, one last thing, if you have any transportation issues, please do not hesitate to make your local leaders aware so we can help you out and sort you out, because we don't want transportation being the reason why you miss anything tomorrow, Saturday, or on Sunday. And I believe that's everything I have for announcements. Over to you, Prince.
All right, thank you so much, Isabel. I'll call on Joshua Etuahene to give us the closing prayer.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we truly just want to say thank you for gathering us all here together for this event. We've truly all been blessed and touched, Lord, by all the knowledge and wisdom that you have given to us. Lord, you say that your children perish because of the lack of knowledge. And Lord, today you are helping us to even overcome that. God, we are blessed and blessed in abundance even for this event. And all we can say is thank you. Thank you for allowing us to gather. Thank you for the people who gave their hearts and souls to teach us. And thank you to the people who put all of this together for our growth. Lord, bless everyone who was involved in this and help us to continue to move forward. And Lord, whatever we took and learned from today, we pray that you'll keep it in our hearts and minds as we keep it fresh with us as we go throughout our lives. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray with great thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. We'll call on Pastor to give us the benediction. Yes. If Pastor is not around, we'll call on Elder Kinsley. Yes. Amen.
Let us share the grace. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God,
God,
and the
and the
sweet
sweet
fellowship of the
fellowship of
Holy
the Holy
Spirit
Spirit
be with
be
us
with
now
us now and
forevermore.
forevermore.
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks everyone for showing up. God bless you all.
God bless you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
God bless you all.
God bless you. God bless you.